Dallas, we hate you.
Yeah.
Dallas.
Shout out Philly Fresco. Shout out Brandon Eric, man. I see y'all boys doing y'all thing out there. This one for Philly. Fly, you just fly. Let's get it.
It's the time of the year, big rival this week. Having Jerry in the seat, regretting that he signed Zeke. Hurt season in effect in the NFC East. Coming through the takeover, it's the mark of the beast. Pass rush will make him nervous, putting Dak on his back. Mika Parsons doing what? We got my ladder for that. They feel say they the best, but you know that they capping. Cowgirls, it's an accident waiting to happen. Go to Jerry Road and make them more pale in the face. Get the job done and take so control on first place. Destination is Dallas, and we dropping the bomb. You are now tuning in to Philly the pod, yeah.
Philly the pod. You are now tuning in to Philly the pod, yeah, yeah. Philly the pod. You are now tuning in to Philly the pod, yeah.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. So today, as you can see, we have a very special guest today, man. We got my guy DJ Eastwood from Run It Back Philly. What's going on, DJ? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing great. I don't like the fact that we got to sit around all Sunday and wait till Monday, but you know, we'll pass some time here.
Seriously, yeah, it's a long wait. It's a long wait. We're just saying we got about like 3 more days to the actual game, but it is Dallas week. So, you know, we're getting a lot of guests on here. We're seeing to gauge how everybody's feeling going into this Dallas game. So I'll ask you right off the bat. We'll start it right off. How are you feeling so far about these Eagles? You know, 1-1, we've had up and we've had it down, you know, but what are you thinking?
I am feeling confusion so far. I still don't have anything to really go off of to evaluate the team. Week 1 was like the best you could have expected, and week 2 we put up a fight, but there's definitely big question marks from what I saw in week 2 versus what I thought I saw in week 1. You know, and I just can't really decide if the Atlanta Falcons are just that bad, if the San Francisco 49ers are really good, or, you know, I don't know. This Dallas game is going to tell me a lot, I think.
Definitely. Now, obviously, we have a whole bunch of new people. I mean, look, I'll put it like this. There are no moral victories. We were talking about this off of camera, right? There are no moral victories, but you gotta learn something from your losses. And we look at the numbers from week 1 to week 2, and it was a big disparity. Not just the points, but, you know, the way that the offense was run. So I'm hoping that that's just them kind of trying to figure out what their identity is. But I want to ask you, just looking at the games that you've seen so far, what would you want the Eagles to be doing? Like, where did you see them at their best?
I think they got away from the run. I mean, it was hard to run against the San Francisco's defense in the first place, but I really think in a close game, what was it, like 6-0 before that score at the end of the second quarter? I think Nick Sirianni just got really confident after that Atlanta Falcons win and got a little ahead of himself, you know, and wasn't really thinking on his toes and really game planning on the fly and things like that. I just think he got a little bit ahead of himself, and they should have been trying to control the clock more. Miles Sanders should have had more touches. I mean, the way Gainwell looked in week 1, he should have had more touches. I didn't like anything about it, really. I liked our defensive effort, but the offense was just confusing to me. I don't know what was going on versus the first week, and maybe that's what we looked like against terrible defense versus maybe a top 2 or 3 defense in the NFL. So
definitely, yeah. And, you know, like you said it earlier, it's still so early that we don't know what the other teams are either. Like, you know, I watch my team and I watch, you know, NFC East teams, but it's hard to really evaluate you when you're putting up against other teams, because I know a lot of times the Cowboys fans are going to say, hey, listen, you went against the Falcons, you went against the 49ers, but you know, at the end of the day, numbers and stats don't win you games, matchups do. And I feel like we have a lot of good matchups on our offensive side and our defensive side. And reason why I say that is because if you look at the first week, right, against Atlanta, the way that we attacked that, it was a lot of dink and dunk. A lot of people might hate it. It is what it is, but it gets the job done. And if you look at the Cowboys defense, they're very susceptible to that. They're very susceptible to the quick, you know, plays and excuse me, especially with Micah Parsons now looking like he's a real threat as a pass rusher. I'm not saying he's anything crazy, but you know, you look at the how we are built and how we can go further. So you bring up run game, but I also think you want to look at that short pass game as kind of an extension of your run game. You got people like Quez Watkins, Rager that can take a 5-yard loss and turn it into a 90-yard touchdown. So I definitely agree with you on that. But you did bring up the defense. Overall, what are you seeing from this defense? What do you like? What do you dislike? How are you feeling about them?
I think what I heard Gannon say after that Patriots game, I keep bringing it up, at that Patriots preseason game, that he didn't want to give up anything over the top. And I was just like, that just means you're going to give up everything over the middle. And I think early on they were getting, first of all, Garoppolo was inaccurate as hell, like that first quarter. Like, he missed some wide open throws. And then once he got it together, the second half just looked like he could just go right over the middle of the field. All the way down the field. They had two 90-yard touchdown drives for the first time since 1992. How did we let that happen? I mean, obviously we made mistakes that extended drives. Derek Barnett, the questionable Kavon Wallace call and stuff like that. But it's tough to give up that many yards, and I think they were just chipping away over the middle, and that's something I want to see from this defense, is getting stops, obviously, but, covering the middle of the field better, really, because, I think we got, Slay and Nelson on the outside. The weakness is the middle. It's been the middle for a couple of years, in my opinion, and I want to see improvement, I guess. I don't know if it's possible, though.
you gotta keep them fingers crossed, right? You gotta hope. But I mean, you did say over the middle you want to see some improvement. Now we do have a little bit of money. The Eagles, obviously a little bit went now with the Josh Sweat deal. But do you think this is a team that should fix that problem, or do you think we should just look at these young guys and let it play out? Because we were talking about earlier, we came into this season knowing that we are a team that's retooling at worst, right? At best, I should say. We're trying to figure out the future of this team. Do you think it's worth spending that money and getting maybe a veteran or a free agent or whatever it may be? Or do you think you just kind of let these young guys play it out and see what happens?
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to wait at least 5, 6, 7 games to really get an evaluation on, like, okay, is this the team that we're going to put resources into for the future, or do we need to get to the top of the draft this year and start all over? So I think they're going to wait, definitely. I wouldn't expect like that to happen anytime soon. There's just too many question marks. I definitely think they're going to let these guys play, see how the season goes, and then after the Atlanta game, though, Howie made some roster moves like literally the next day. And I was like, okay, I think Howie's impressed with what happened on Monday. Maybe he's going to start to put something into this team. And then the San Francisco game just kind of took us a couple steps back, I think, in what we really think of the team. So I don't know. It's a good feeling for me to watch this season, like, honestly. It just is, because I came into this with a 5-win expectation, and people called me a hater, but it's just what I expect. I think we're going to lose a lot of games like we lost the 49ers game. Just mistakes, a rookie head coach doing things that are like, what's going on here? Guys making mistakes. I just expected it. So, I'm not disappointed.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's such an up and down. Like I said, you look at the first week, second week, such a disparity. It's hard to really say, oh, this is who we are. But we do have some talent out there. We talk about the young guys, and I want to bring up a couple of the young guys. We look at somebody like a Davion Taylor that, when he's out there, he's been able to make some plays. Anthony Harris is middle age. He's like 28, right? So he's not that young, but he's young to the team, I guess. But he's been out there making some plays. You look at Milton Williams, obviously going to get a big push in time. But one person I want to highlight, and maybe it's not a highlight, it's more of a low light, but you look at Derek Barnett. You brought it up, that unfortunate penalty, unnecessary. It's right in the word. But what are your thoughts on Derek Barnett? Obviously, with Brandon Graham down, it's a little bit tough to say cut the guy. You know what I'm saying? But where do you stand on Derek Barnett? Do you want to see him get another chance? Is it over for you?
I mean, yeah, like with Brandon Graham going down, I think we can't really, we kind of need his services. But he's just been such a disappointment for how high he was drafted, and it's just his mindset is just annoying to me. It's like every season. What's he have? He has 9 personal fouls in his career, and 6 of them were touchdown drive extending plays, meaning like it extended the drive and they eventually scored a touchdown. 6 of them. So it's like, at what point do you stop doing this? I don't understand. And I would love to have heard what the Eagles coaching staff said to him. You know what I mean? Because he's got to be on a short leash at this point because you're not good enough to be doing stuff like that. You know, it's not Ndamukong Suh where the guy stomps on a guy's head, but he had 16 sacks or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
facts.
you're not good enough to be doing this stuff. That's how I'm kind of just over him.
Yeah, and we have a lot of picks next year. You know, we have a lot of picks next year. There's a lot of questions that can be answered, so we can fill a lot of spots. Now, going on the other side of that, because it segues perfectly, because that drive, you know, where he got that unnecessary roughness, had he not gotten that, there's a very good possibility that we get the ball back and it's back in Jalen Hurts' hands. I think it would have been like a 3rd and 16. So obviously it's not guaranteed, but anything can happen. But at the end of the day, I say that to say this. The drive right before that from Jalen Hurts, we saw them simplify it, and he just drove right down the field. Maybe this is a little bit of a hard question to ask, but how confident would you have been had he got that ball back in his hand? Do you think that would have been a game we won?
I don't know anymore, man. It's like the thing that's really driving me nuts about Jalen Hurts is I was defending the things that people point out about him negatively. I was arguing with it all off season, and in that 49ers game, I saw it like 6 times, you know, and I was just like, that's what people have been telling me. I wasn't listening. You know, he throws the ball late. He doesn't read the field. He stares at Devontae Smith. It feels like every play. The play where he missed Goddard 3 yards in front of him right at the first down marker. I mean, I'm not trying to trash the guy. Like, I'm still giving him this whole season because he's obviously going to be in there watching the film and looking at it closer than probably we are and saying, like, this is what I need to do, and then go out there and try to fix it. So I have faith in Jalen Hurts watching film of himself and really fixing or at least attempting to. His work ethic is insane. You know, you don't ever have to question that. But I don't know if I had faith, but I think by the 3rd quarter, I was just kind of like, this defense is just giving him fits. He's not throwing over the middle of the field. He's kind of playing conservative. I know his he hasn't thrown an interception yet. His completion percentage is good, but it's part of it is that he's just not taking chances. And then when he took the chances with the deep balls, he just second guessed himself and threw them late. So, you know, I'm hoping we see some improvement in against Dallas, and I'm hoping that the San Francisco 49ers are just like a Super Bowl contender, so we can brush it off and say, well, that was a great team. You know?
Yeah, facts. That would be good. And you know, maybe I'm off base on this, but I've been likening this loss to the San Francisco 49ers kind of to that 2017 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Not because I'm saying we're a Super Bowl team or that they are. I'm just saying that if you look at, again, the disparity in the stats and how we ran the game, you know, we got out of who we are. You know, you go back to that 2017 game, we passed the ball like 50,000 times or something with Carson Wentz. You go to this game where we're throwing deep bombs. It's just not who we are. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like what we're built on. So maybe this is a big learning experience for Nick Sirianni and this staff. Now, how do you feel about Nick so far? I've said this before, and I'm going to stick to this because until the season's over, it kind of open. But he's either going to be like the most loved head coach in you know, Eagles history, or he's going to be the most like memed head coach in Eagles history. But how do you feel with all the talk and how he's performed so far?
It's tough as a rookie head coach, man, especially in this city. You know, like 2 games in, people are already just, this guy doesn't have it. He doesn't, you know, and they're saying the same thing about the quarterback. And it just seems to be the most impatient sports town in the history of the world. But I think he has potential. I like the fact that he was a former offensive coordinator. I like the fact that he was a receivers coach. We've seen terrible receiver play for years now, you know, and I think all of those things have improved in one offseason with him. I like the game plan against Atlanta. He just needs to get back to, you know, Jalen Hurts has a certain skill set, and the offense against Atlanta just fit that. And I didn't see much of that in San Francisco. Maybe he had less time to throw the ball. I know that. He was pressured on 20 dropbacks. He was pressured 14 times, you know, so that San Francisco D-line really got in his face and messed up his execution. But I just think you need a lot more motion. You need a lot more, like you said, the Quez Watkins screens, the Rager screens, the quick stuff to set up the long ball. I know that, like, you know, Devontae Smith can burn probably every single corner in the NFL. It's just he's going to fly down the field, but you have to set yourself up to let that fly. You can't just okay, randomly bomb the ball down the field, and it just didn't seem like it made any sense. We were just going from nothing to a 60-yard bomb, and I don't know. I think I'd like to see more of a plan executed.
Definitely. I hear that. I want to see, I want to find our identity. As long as we can find our identity this year, I think we'll be fine. Like my biggest fear going into this year is, oh, look at that bars. I'm spitting. But no, my biggest fear going into this season was probably just not figuring anything out. Maybe Jalen Hurts getting hurt or something like that. So, something that makes us sit next year and we're like, damn, we're in the same exact position. But I want to ask you this too, because I know this has been kind of a, as you say, Eagles fans are very impatient and sometimes jump off a ledge before they even know what's at the bottom. But a lot has been made about Fletcher Cox. A lot has been said about Fletcher Cox. Now, I will say I got the all 22 and was able to watch the all 22 this week. And honestly, it's crazy to me that people don't realize his impact on this game. But how do you feel about Fletcher Cox? I mean, the facts are there. He is getting paid over $20 million. He is, getting paid that Aaron Donald money. But what do you feel about Fletch? How do you see his impact on this team? Or are you willing to move on from him soon?
Are we talking about he doesn't have any sacks yet in 2 games, and he doesn't have many quarterback pressures and things like that? I think people just look at numbers, you know what I mean? And like you said, you watch the all 22, you really see what happened, and it's kind of like one of those. It's kind of like a basketball game where a player doesn't put up stats, but he really impacted the game. It's kind of like if Devontae Smith finishes a game with 0 receptions, he still stretched the defense out the entire game and made everybody's job easier. So Fletcher Cox is taking on, double teams and opening up things for other guys on the defensive line. And when you watch that 22, I didn't watch it, but I'm sure you saw that he just draws so much attention from an offensive line that it frees up other people. Probably Hargrave and others have had success because people are focused on Fletcher Cox. I think he still has a lot left, but it's definitely just going to depend on what direction this team's going in after this season. If you move on from him or not, if you just go full rebuild mode and clear some contracts and go young, or if you keep him on the books, I don't know. But I think he has a lot left, and I think he'll start seeing success as far as pressures and sacks soon. But his impact on the game is not deniable, really, when you watch it.
Definitely, yeah. And you bring up Hargrave, you even bring up Brandon Graham. You watch some of them, it was like, I hope Brandon Graham gets healthy soon, but I'm not too worried about the production loss just because there was a lot of times where Brandon Graham was wide open, just like literally running free because there was 2 or 3 guys on Fletcher Cox. So and Javon Hargrave, the same thing. He's getting one-on-ones, out the wazoo. And that's going to change. Once they start seeing that Javon Hargrave is consistently going to beat that one-on-one, then like you said, you'll start seeing the numbers go up for Fletcher Cox. Now, one more Eagles player I want to talk about before we switch on over to the Dallas side of things. I want to talk about Brandon Brooks. Look, Brandon Brooks is obviously went in. He's an amazing player, one of the best right guards, if not the best. But, availability is the best ability. And we have a 2nd-round pick now, Landon Dickerson, going into that position. How do you feel if Landon Dickerson's able to prove that he can be that guy? Is Brandon Brooks somebody in 8 weeks, which they're saying it's going to take him about 8 weeks to come back, that you're looking at, as a backup or maybe somebody to possibly move on from next year?
Yeah. If the guy can't stay healthy, he just can't stay healthy. It's just absolutely crazy at this point. They're calling him the new Jason Peters, and we don't want one of those. We don't want to be I'm just saying we don't want to be signing a guy for another year and another year and another year when he hasn't been healthy. Jason Peters was hurt 4 years in a row or something like that. We kept re-signing the guy. I don't know what Howie's obsession with him was, but I don't want Brandon Brooks to turn into that. But yeah, Landon Dickerson, it'd be nice to see him. I mean, I watched a lot of college tape on the dude. He's massive. He moves his feet well. His hand game is awesome. I don't think there's a big. He was one of the best offensive linemen in the draft, and his injury basically is what put him in the 2nd round, was it?
Yeah.
But I don't think he has a lot of need for time to develop. I think that kid can probably play right now. Jordan Mailata had to literally learn how to play football, and now he's where he is. I think this dude. Maybe I'm overrating him and not really seeing much of him in the NFL, but I think he can slide in there. And if Brandon Brooks isn't healthy, I mean, what options do you really have? And if you're taking this season to evaluate things, it'd be a good thing. It's kind of like throwing a rookie quarterback into the fire and being like, is he good or not? Let's find out. Let's just if we end up 1-4, 1-5, we might as well just find out. You know what I mean? Just put him in there.
Facts. Yeah, that's very true. Now let's switch on over to the Dallas side of things, man. You know, obviously, like we said, Monday night it happens. We answer a lot of questions, at least like, you know, in the thick of things, I guess. You know, people will take what they will take from it. But going into this game, what are you looking out for against Dallas? Like what are some things that kind of worry you just on the surface level about Dallas?
I think their run game worries me with the center of our defense. You know, once you get past that defensive line, can we stop powerful running backs? I know Atlanta Patterson was like a wide receiver playing running back.
Yeah, Cordell Patterson.
And he had 100 rushing yards in the first half. I don't know why. And then they stopped, and I have an Atlanta Falcons friend, and I'm like, did he get hurt? And he said, no, they just stopped running him. So I don't understand that. But what he did, you know, I think Zeke and Pollard is going to be a big test for us, and it's going to tell us a lot. And Pollard last week that dude flies, man. And it's like at some points I'm like, wait, he's the number one and Zeke's the number two. You know what I mean? So they got two good running backs back there. I don't think all of their wide receivers are playing, right?
Yeah, they're missing one guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think if we can't stop the run and they dominate the clock, you know, it could be one of those games where we don't really have the ball that much on the offensive side. So I think that's number one, really stopping those two running backs.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, even on the outside, you know, we were getting killed last week last week now. But we were getting killed against San Fran on those pitches. So those are definitely going to be things. And, I go back to even when I was saying Davion Taylor, somebody we need to see more from. He just has that sideline to sideline speed. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They also were talking about Derek Barnett seeing an extended time due to the packages that the San Francisco 49ers were running. So it might be an extended duty for him again this week. So that kind of worries me. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean, on the opposite side, though, do you think our running back room will be able to kind of eat against this Dallas defense?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, a lot of people say Miles Sanders is overrated. It's another thing that I kind of brush off. And then what I saw him do last week, especially that run where he missed that wide open hole on the right side on a 3rd and 6. And I hate the call to run the ball on 3rd and 6 with a young quarterback. Let Jalen Hurts just sit back there and see what he can do. But it was a perfectly executed play. That's one of those plays when you really watch it. Miles could have broke that thing for like 90 yards. Like that's just that he's that kind of player. You know what I mean? So I hope so. I really want to see improvement as far as him reading blocks and knowing where to go. I mean, you know, it's like he's great sometimes, and then he does things like that, and you're like, does this guy even know how to find a hole? Like, what's going on here? It's like night and day, you know. So I want to see more consistency. But yeah, if we get a good Miles Sanders game where he's not hesitating, not second guessing himself, and hitting the right hole, I think, you know, that our offensive line has been impressing me so far in these two games. As far as the run game goes and opening up holes. So, you know, Gainwell, you know, I like him too. I think it's a good 1-2 punch. Maybe I'll ask you, you know, do you think we need – a lot of people were yelling for Jordan Howard off the practice squad, and on 1st and goal, we don't even we don't even get a point out of it. You know what I mean? Do we need a bigger back in lineup?
I'll say this. I've watched that 49ers game way too much. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I watched that 6 plays, I think it was, at the goal line, basically within the 10 yards. I want to say it was 6 plays. Realistically, I don't think that a Jordan Howard or a bigger back would have helped. You know, if you look at the one run play that we did run prior to that, like option, that it's the same option. I don't even know what that was bad. Play. It was like the weirdest play. You gave him no option, but it was an option, but it made 0 sense.
Well, I think it was a shovel pass to Ertz, and he didn't throw it. And then he was kind of,
and then he just like tried to run it. Yeah, it was the weirdest play ever. But to go to that one running play that Miles Sanders got basically smacked at like the 2 or 3 yard line. Isaac Seumalo was like playing leapfrog at that play. So I mean, like, you know, unless Jordan Howard can like jump 10 yards, I don't think he would have got in that end zone. So, you know, when you look at it, and I think it was just bad play calling, and maybe not necessarily the play was a bad play. You know, it was maybe not a bad design. But you go back to the 3rd and 1 where Miles Sanders got stopped. We ran the same exact play the play before and got like 9 yards. Yeah. So it's like, and then you look at the defensive setup and it's a totally, you know, the play before they have like 5 or 6 people in the box. The next play, they literally overloaded the box. There was nowhere for you to go. So I don't think it was on who the running back was. And I think San Fran's a perfect example on the side of it. Shouldn't matter who's running the ball if you have a great offensive line like we do. It should be about scheme and timing. So like, I just don't think that he called the right plays in the right time. So I've been getting a lot of slack for that because I have been saying we don't need Jordan Howard. What am I missing? Everybody like all this other things Jordan Howard would have won us the game or something. But I mean, if we go, I'd rather do this. If you want more of a power running game, we have like three people that can realistically play left tackle for like 1 or 2 plays. Put Jordan Mailata as your fullback. If that's really what you want, if you want that in the, you know what I'm saying, in the red zone, I'm all for it. Put him as your, and it makes sense. Put Dillard there for 1 play. You know what I'm saying? It's who loses in that? Nobody loses in that. I can see that working.
You know what? He played rugby. Give him the ball. Hand it off to him. That'd be awesome.
I would like. There's so many things you can do. Obviously, that's they did it before. They've done it before. Not the Eagles, but we've seen it in the NFL before. If he gets that type of, you know what I'm saying? What was I gonna say? If he has that type of trust from the offense, we'll see. But I think there's so many things you can do, and I think that if you look at this team, you have the players. You just have to figure out what to do with them. And I keep going back to that disparity. I think we're just trying to find our identity. I think going into this year, I kept saying that I thought our defense would be good. I thought our defense would be at least solid, right? Yeah. And the offense was a question mark. And I don't think that that's changed much over these first 2 weeks. But I do want to ask about our defensive matchup. I want to ask about how our secondary in general, going against obviously a Gallup-less, Dallas wide receiving core, but you still got Coop, you still got CD Lamb. How do you see us going against them, and how big would it be if we were able to shut them down?
I think it's a test for Anthony Harris, really. I think Steve Nelson's been impressing me. Darius Slay just, bends sometimes, but he's just so solid, you know what I mean? And a lot of people are talking about his numbers too in 2 games, but I haven't even really seen him throw to his side of the field that much, you know what I mean? So he's that kind of corner where people pretty much avoid him. And Steve Nelson, I've been loving the dude. He's not afraid to hit. He's a great tackler, man. I didn't know that about him, before that went down. He's just such a good tackler. He gets low on the legs. He looks like a linebacker when he hits people, and he likes it. Anthony Harris is kind of hesitant to me. There was a first down play where he was standing back there behind the first down marker and just kind of waited for the running back to come to him. And I'm like, I want those guys. I want that safety that's going to fly up in there, and make something happen. At least miss the tackle. Don't stand there and wait for him to cross the first down marker, So I think it's a test for Anthony Harris to show us, if he's got something, because I wasn't impressed with him really in 2 games. And then the pass interference in the end zone was just, I don't think it was as bad as people make it sound. I know I said it was terrible, but when I watched it a couple times, there was a lot of contact, but then he just tripped over he just tangled his feet up, you know what I mean? So I'm looking for some improvement from Anthony Harris. I don't want CeeDee Lamb and those boys to get all over us, like, deep, middle of the field. I think our safeties it's a test for our safeties. That's what it is, in my opinion.
Definitely. And you look at if we don't get Rodney McLeod back this week, it looks like he's ramping up, but so anything's possible. I haven't heard him coming back, but if we're not able to get him, you're looking at Kayvon Wallace again, and you're looking at Marcus Epps. So it's definitely going to be a test. And one thing I will say about Anthony Harris, he is a very smart player. I will give him that. He is not very aggressive, which I definitely want to see him get way more aggressive. But he's always at wherever the ball is. I'll give him that. Like he always seems to find himself in the right spot. He just got to have that aggression at the attack point. So I definitely give you that, man. I mean, I think that this can be a big proof, like a big stamp for our defense. If we can go out there and really, kind of give them a fits, kind of make them go balance, make them try and make us guess, because realistically, if you look at the past couple games, they were just doing whatever they wanted on offense. It wasn't really like we have to run it so we can open up this. It was like anything's open. It was 24/7. You get whatever you want. 7-Eleven. We were open all day. So that's the biggest thing to me is we have to make them guess, make them make them think on the move. Like a lot of times the way to beat great players is to make them think in the moment. You even look at the defense. I think Micah Parsons is probably, and I know I'll probably get a lot of flack for this because they're in love with Trayvon Diggs, but I think Micah Parsons is probably the only guy on their defense I'm really worried about. if I'm being 100% honest. And that's a guy that he's going to be on an island a lot because they're going to ask him to, look at Jalen Hurts. They're going to ask him to be in that run game. So if we can make people just kind of stop for a second and have to see what's going on, offensively and defensively, I think we'll be fine. So let me know a couple key players on the offense and defense for the Eagles, or whatever you want to do, that you're looking at to break out this game, that you need to have a big game for us to win.
Well, I really think I'm gonna go Jalen Hurts, but specifically Jalen Hurts over the middle of the field. You know what I mean? Because in 2 games, he's literally not thrown the ball a single time over the middle of the field, and that can not only be a weakness. And when we talk about Micah Parsons and the linebacking core and the Dallas secondary, it's for the taking. Like you said, he's the only player that you're really worried about. So this is a good opportunity for Jalen Hurts to kind of watch the film and fix that. What he did in 2 games is just throw to the sidelines, and that just becomes so predictable and easy to stop. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's Nick Sirianni trying to hide a weakness, or if it's just the way that Jalen Hurts reads the field. But for some reason, he doesn't throw the ball over the middle. That's what people said about him in college. It's what he showed me in 2 games. I just want him to sit back there and fire it over the middle and read the entire field. What do you think? Do you think he can? There's definitely the Jalen Hurts isn't the guy crowd. And do you think he can watch the film and start to take advantage of some opportunities instead of just being locked in on where he wants to go with the ball? You know what I mean?
I definitely think he can. It comes down to this coaching staff demanding it, right? I feel like you have to demand it from him. You have to set that bar and say, this is what we're looking for. If you can't meet that, then, it is what it is. So I think that has to be a point of contention. It has to be a conversational point. Last week, I hate to say this, but I blame a lot of it. And I don't even want to use blame as a hard word, but I put a lot of it on this coaching staff. I feel like the play design wasn't necessarily what we needed. We need options. You have a quarterback that's a +1 guy. Don't put him on one side of the field with all your options on the other side. I'm not into that. But as far as Jalen, and I don't get it. If there's one iota of questioning his arm strength, why are we asking him to do sideline throw, cross arm sideline throws? I just don't get that, But I think Jalen Hurts has the mentality to be a great quarterback, And I had another Cowboys guy on here, Big Game James, and he said it kind of perfectly. He was like, you look at Dak, and it took a little while for his talent to catch up with what his mind wanted to do. Yeah. Like he always wanted to be that big play quarterback. And I think that's what Jalen Hurts wants to be. But I think it's going to take a little bit time for his talent to catch up with what his mind wants. So I think it will be a slow process. And this is, it's a curse that the Eagles players and Eagles fans have to deal with. I said this, after week 1, let's not get too hyped on Jalen Hurts. Let's not get too high, not too low, because it's going to be a weekly thing with him. We're always going to find something to nitpick that we want to see him do better. It is what it is. I definitely think he has the talent and the mind frame to be great. It's just about, us giving him the time. That's really what it comes down to, because I don't know if they will, to be honest. That's my biggest fear, is that the franchise isn't going to give him the time.
I think they will. I think we're at a point now, and especially with Jeffrey Lurie saying out loud, this is a transition period. So, it kind of doesn't really matter who's impatient. If the owner's the patient one, nothing's happening. There's no drastic anything going on. There's not going to be Gardner Minshew in Game 5. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see if Jalen Hurts goes 3-14, you know what I mean? I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts the whole season. And I hope so. If they shock me with that, I would be back on my 20-minute Eagles rants, that everybody seems to love. Nobody really cares about my takes on the Eagles versus the rants. They do like 20,000 views, and then I have an analytical video, and it does like 1.5, but whatever. Yes, another rant.
They love to see us upset. That's really what it is. They just love to see us upset.
It's probably mostly views from the other team's fan base.
Exactly.
Laughing at me.
Exactly. Realistically, I know me and you were talking earlier, and you were like, I kind of got to talk you into this because it's tough. It's been tough. We don't know what we are right now, right? But I will say, if the Eagles can accept who they are, if they can accept that right now Jalen Hurts' best attribute is getting the ball out of his hand, making quick decisions, whether that becomes a one-read quarterback type situation or not, and keeping this defense off the field as much as possible, not because they're bad, just because that's how you that's how you play football. Giving up 35, 40 minutes of game time to the other offense is not how you win football. I mean, we're upset that they gave up 17 points in almost 40 minutes of football. Like, that's really not that bad. Outside of those 2 drives, which obviously you don't want to see that, but outside of those 2 drives, our defense has been lights out all year. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we can continue to do that and continue to just take it slow on offense, not try to get ahead of ourselves, we have a very good wide receiving core. I really do believe we do. Like, these guys can catch the ball, they can get open, and those we all know in Philly, those are 2 important things for Eagles wide receivers. Yeah, because it seems like we don't get that. So, and then you even look at the situation with Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. I mean, we're in a good position in a lot of our positions. We're at a good spot. We have a lot of good young guys. So worst case, we don't win a lot of games, but I think we learn a lot about our team. There's, and let me ask you this. Is there a world, I know we keep saying that there's a possibility that we're not winning a lot of games, but is there realistically a world that we go 3-14, 4 and whatever, and we still keep Jalen Hurts? Do you think that's a real possibility?
I don't think so. I think if the season goes like that, all the things you just pointed out, a good wide receiver core, you got two really good tight ends. You have a healthy offensive line for the first time in a long time, but you still have you can still take that same offensive line in the next season. I think there's a lot of pieces, and if Jalen Hurts shows that he can't get it done on the NFL level, maybe you get those 3 first-round picks to get to the top of the draft and plug in a 6'6" pocket quarterback that's accurate, that can, what I mean, like a traditional style pocket passer. I don't even know who's coming out of college that's like some of the top quarterbacks to look for. People are telling me there's none in the draft, and that it's, I don't know, everybody wants to predict the future and have a crystal ball or anything like that. But no, I think if that happens, I think the Jalen Hurts experiment would probably be over, and that would be disappointing, because I do think he has the work ethic and the skill to be great, like you said. And I think Dak Prescott is a good comparison to him. I was comparing him to Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, and I think Russell Wilson was good. Just he had a deep ball. He had an accurate deep ball and just had the knack to know when to let it fly, kind of his first start as a rookie. But Dak Prescott, I didn't go back and look at his career stats game by game, but I just have a feeling that like it was between him and Wentz who's going to throw the first interception as a rookie quarterback in the NFC East, right? So I think Dak Prescott was very conservative too his first couple of games as a rookie and or his first time starting the season with the Cowboys. I think he was very conservative too, and it took him time to really get the timing and let it fly and stuff. So maybe people are overblowing it. Maybe it's literally just a time thing with Jalen Hurts, and it's just going to take some time for him to get the timing down and know when to let it fly. Literally, those Devontae Smith plays were touchdown balls if he throws it a half second sooner.
Yeah. Facts. Hey, that's 100% true. We're a couple plays away from being 2-0, right? We're a couple plays away from looking like a totally different team. And even in the beginning of that game, it didn't look like their defense was going to stop us. He was kind of moving at will, and then he just didn't get the ball for a whole third quarter. It is exactly. Like, there's not much you can do when you don't got the ball in your hand. But I mean, I like this team. I really do like this team. I think that we're on the right path. I mean, and I will say this one thing. Like we were talking about, I'm getting, the DallasCowboys.com face of Cowboys on here because I want to get real opinions. I don't want to do the back and forth, the yelling and arguing. Yeah, and that's cool. One real opinion that I continuously get is that they're afraid of Jalen Hurts. Maybe not as he's gonna tear them up this game, but they think he's a real guy. I get a different sense from opposing teams about Jalen Hurts than I did about Carson Wentz, and that's just 100%. That's not hate or nothing like that. They just see something different in Jalen Hurts, and it is what it is. I think us as fans need to see that as well. It might not translate to wins all the time, but there's something different about this kid, and I think that people really trust him, whether it be the franchise, whether it be the other players. So, I mean, it's time to just back him up, at least for this year. Like you said, we'll see what happens. It is what it is. So let me ask you this before we get out of here. I want to do just the Dallas versus Eagles. I don't want to say predictions because, people throw those out too much. But how do you realistically feel? Do you think this is a game we're going to win? And, just how are you feeling about this game? Do you think we're going to win it?
Realistically, damn. This is going to be negative. Realistically, I think the Cowboys I think we make it closer than some people think. The Cowboys on paper, every single year, they have a 9% chance to win the Super Bowl this year? You know what I mean? And it's every single year. Okay, they're healthy. Okay, they have on paper. They might as well change their name to On Paper. You know what I mean? On paper, the Dallas On Papers. Every year they're okay. They're healthy. Zeke's good. Dak's good. This is going to be the year. They shored up their defense with drafting a linebacker in the top of the draft or whatever. So on paper, we're a transition team that's young and a young quarterback, and they should kill us. So I think we're going to make it closer. But I just think experience when you talk about the receiving core, the quarterback, the running back, I just think experience-wise, I think they're gonna edge us out with. We're probably gonna still have some crucial mistakes in big points of the game that and it'll be kind of a moral victory too, where we say, okay, we're still making mistakes that are shooting ourselves in the foot as a young team. So I think it's gonna be a game that kind of like San Francisco, where we had chances to win, but the experience of the Dallas Cowboys roster probably takes it. That's my realistic opinion. Of course, I would love for the Eagles to upset the Cowboys in this game, but
yeah, no, I mean, that's real. Going into the season, I'm not going to lie, I had us losing to the San Fran, and I had us losing to Dallas, and I had us losing next week, but I still had us somehow getting to like 9 wins. So I don't know. I don't think that this game is a do or die. Obviously, Eagles fans want this win. I want this win because I don't want to hear all these Cowboy fans talking all that junk. But I'm kind of subscribing to the same thing you're saying, man. I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people are giving us the opportunity for it to be. I don't think we're nowhere near as bad as, the Cowboys are trying to make us out to be. And I think if it's a low-scoring game, I'll say this. If it's a low-scoring game, I like our chances way more. If it becomes a shootout, it's hey, good luck. Good luck. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that, but hey, DJ, man, I appreciate you coming on here so much, man. Just chopping it up. We're gonna do this again. Before we get you out of here, be sure to let them know where they can find you and what you're doing, everything, man.
Hey, man, it's DJ Eastwood. It's Run It Back Philly. YouTube Run It Back Philly. Instagram at Run It Back Philly. Yeah, man, check me out. If you haven't subscribed already, check me out, man. Yeah, this was fun. I like just chopping it up, man. This was cool. Thank you.
Definitely. And we're gonna do it again, man. We've been talking a lot in the background, so it's like it's one of those things we've been wanting to do it. Haven't had the time, but I appreciate everybody that came through, checked it out. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you have not, go check out Run It Back Philly. Definitely like and subscribe. He's doing some amazing content. But other than that, man, we do have, and shout out to my guy Seho Facts for the new intro for Dallas week. We're only gonna keep it for Dallas week, and we're gonna play it on the way out, y'all. But y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. And we are out of here. Peace.
We want Dallas. Dallas. We hate you. Dallas.
Shout out Philly Fresco. Shout out Brandon Eric, man. I see y'all boys doing y'all thing out there. This one for Philly. Fly, you get fly. Let's get it.
It's the time of the year, big rival this week. Having Jerry in the seat, regretting that he signed Zeke. Hurt season in effect in the NFC East. Coming through to take over, it's the mark of the beast. Pass rush will make him nervous, putting Dak on his back. Mika Parsons doing what? We got my lotta for that. They fans say they the best, but you know that they capping. Cowgirls is an accident waiting to happen. Go to Jerry Road and make them more fail in the face. Get the job done and take sole control on first place. Destination is Dallas, and we dropping the bomb. You are now tuning in to Philly the pod, yeah.
Philly the pod. You are now tuning in to Philly the pod, yeah. Philly the pod. You are now tuning in to Philly the pod, yeah.